misty, breezy evening in New Jersey. The lights are on a Friday night in the Ivy League. We are at Princeton University. Columbia making the trip south to start another season of Ivy League football on a Friday night. The Princeton Tigers a moment ago taking the field here at Powers Field at Princeton. 1-1 on the season, Columbia 1-1, but this is the Ivy League opener. Oh man, we can't replace that camera. It's day one here. Let's take care of the equipment. It is the Ivy League opener for Columbia and Princeton. It is great to be back with you. Great to be with Jack Ford again for another season of Ivy League football here on ESPNU. And there's not a lot of change from year to year. You know this in the Ivy League, but there's a big change at Columbia, and that comes on the sideline this year.
Columbia, it's a bit of a regime change, sort of. Mark Fabish elevated from an assistant job to the head job with the retirement of legendary coach Al Bagnoli. That's Mark Fabish there. He played for Al Bagnoli. He's coached with Al Bagnoli. Coach Bagnoli came from Penn with 9 Ivy League championships. To resurrect the Columbia program, he has done that. 5-5 last year. They've won a lot of games. Now, Mark Fabish, Columbia, they want to continue that momentum, build on that momentum, and start off by winning their first Ivy game.
For Princeton, we are so used to them reloading from year to year to year, and they are a very good team, but they are a team in transition a little bit too when it comes to the skill positions.
You and I have caught a lot of Princeton games, and we're always talking about the skill at wide receivers, running back. There are a lot of new faces in those skill positions, some new faces on the line, but the constant is number 18, quarterback Blake Stenstrom. Led the league in passing last year, second team All-Ivy. He's a senior, brings maturity and ability. He can throw, he can run. He's the guy that Coach Bob Surace is saying he's going to be our centerpiece. Wherever he takes us, that's where we're going to go.
Bit of a bumpy ride for Blake and Princeton last week in terrible weather conditions here in Princeton.
It was like a hurricane here, Eric. I live about 45 minutes away on the coast, and literally I've seen named hurricanes that were not as difficult to be out in, much less play football in, than what they were faced with, Princeton and Bryant last week.
I got great news. The weather's much better here tonight.
We came with layers. You and I had all sorts of layers and boots and things, and we walked out saying it's a lovely night for football.
And we are ready to go. Columbia won the toss. They defer, so Princeton will receive the opening kickoff as these two teams get ready to go with their Ivy League schedules. They may be 1-1 overall, but they are 0-0 as it's kicked away by Hugo Mary. And it'll be a touchback, and Princeton will bring that offense onto the field, and that means Blake Stenstrom, the senior from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, a 2-year starter now for Princeton, will lead that offense out for that first snap. Second team All-Ivy a season ago in his first year as a starter. Led the Ivy League last year, throwing for 2,742 yards, but his head coach Bob Surace says he needs to be patient. He has been patient as he tries to find that connection with his new targets.
And he's the guy, you see the C on his jersey, he's the guy that the team, especially the younger guys, look to for leadership.
Darian Murphy in motion as Stenstrom will throw on first down, and right away it's a completion for 10 yards to Luke Colella. So Colella, the junior from Wexford, PA, gets his 10th reception of the season. That leads the team in that category.
You can see plenty of time, and they brought in some new offensive linemen here. They've had some great ones over the past, but they need to give him time to keep that pocket clean, and we saw what happens right there when they do that.
Give him a gain of 9. He was a yard short. Stenstrom will not get the first down as Columbia's there defensively. Patrick Pasalacqua, junior from Old Tappan, New Jersey, leading the charge for the Lions.
Stenstrom does not run a lot, but he can. And we remember some games where all of a sudden they made him a part of their running game, called quarterback plays just like that, and it adds that additional element. You have him as a running back now, and it evens up the numbers between offensive and defense.
3rd down and 1, and Columbia holding firm, but the pile is moving forward, and I think they're going to give him just enough progress for the first down. Darian Murphy, the sophomore, will move the chains.
Darian Murphy comes up with a smile. He knows he got some help from his boys on the line there to move that pile. First hit looked like Columbia might have stacked him up, but we see so often nowadays, especially with quarterback sneaks and quarterback, some of the guys get behind and they start to move the pile. You have an old-time rugby scrum, and here they got the first down.
Saw the lineup. John Volker is their go-to running back, but Princeton thinks they have a very deep room, so we've seen Murphy out there First and foremost so far as Stenstrom throws it outside. Also a change up front as Colella has another reception. Cooper Coors at left tackle. That means Jalen Travis, who was hurt at the end of the Bryant game, not available here today. Bob Serace told us it does not need surgery. He will be back, but with a talent like that, you're not going to push it.
That's a big loss. He's a legitimate NFL prospect, 6'7", 320 or so. So they're going to miss having him in that line.
Stenstrom will throw near side, complete to Matthew Mahoney. Columbia is there, and it'll be a third down and short again for the Tigers.
Princeton offense has made a living on that quick screen out to the wide guy. You remember last year when they were throwing it to Andre Yosevach and Dylan Classy. It was a staple of their offense. We see him start to use it again. Haven't busted it yet so far this year, but expect, and again, Coach Bob Sherry said to us, he's got some speed in these young wide receivers. So expect him to continue to use that play.
Another third down and 1. John Volker is in. Good strong running back. We'll see if he gets the handoff on third and short. He does. He's got a good hole, and he's got a first down. So the second third down conversion for the Tigers, who converted at 30% in the first 2 games of the season.
First 2 games of the season, it looked nothing like what you expect Princeton offense to do. They told you, take a look here. John Volker, big, strong, but he's their speed guy. He's got 2 runs of about 50 yards for touchdowns so far in their first 2 games this year. He was a track champion in New Jersey, so he's a hard runner between the tackles, but if you give him a little bit of room, he's the kind of guy who can bust it wide open for you.
Team high 35th carry on the season there for Volker, who gets the call again. Not much happening here against Columbia's line. Pasalakwa comes out of there with the fist pump.
You were talking about the offense and converting on third downs. Fascinating number for us. Princeton, total points scored in 2 games, 36 points. They used to average 36 points. So, look, again, one day was the horrible weather conditions last week. The game before that, they played San Diego, 20-some points, 26 points they put on the board. You're looking for this offense to break out, and they're certainly hoping it's going to be in this game.
Average just shy of 28 points a game last season. Stenstrom on second down and long, throws complete. First down and more. Matthew Mahoney. So Mahoney's a name you're going to hear quite a bit about. According to Serace, he's the fastest receiver on the team, and he had been open quite a bit in the first 2 games. They are finding him in the early going on the Tigers' first possession.
You can see, once again, the key. Little play action holds the linebackers, but the offensive line gives Stenstrom time, drift a little bit to the left, and find Mahoney open. As you said, he's the speed guy, a state sprint champion also.
Mahoney to the sideline. Volker on the carry. One thing Volker does well, and Jack, you're right about his speed, but he is also very good after the initial contact. Entering play today, 140 of his 240 yards on the ground had come after contact, so he'll get those extra yards.
Well, look at the size of him. All right? Usually when you talk about sprint champions, usually it's kind of a certain build. He's got the build for a guy who'd be an old-time fullback. There you go, way back in the single wing for Princeton's old-time single wing. You're too young to know.
No. I'm going to stop the clock at, let's see, 9:50 to go in the first quarter. That you had a reference that someone in your family is going to text you about, saying that may be just a little dated, Dad.
A little too far back in the past.
One thing Volker loves is getting plenty of touches, and he has done that so far this year. It's going to be another third down and short here for the Tigers. Upcoming will be play number 11 of this opening drive for Princeton.
Another thing that's interesting about him is you usually think of the speed guys, the guys who always want to bounce it outside. They feel a little pressure up the middle, and they'll take it to the outside, see if they can turn that corner. He just finds an opening between the tackles. He's, as you said, just a tough inside runner. But if you get him into that second level, then it's a foot race, and you're probably going to lose it.
Princeton has converted 2 third downs already on this drive. They're facing a third down and 3. Stenstrom in trouble, out of trouble. First down, down inside the 15 for the Tigers. Not known for using his legs, but when he has to, he'll pick up those yards, as you mentioned before.
And in some ways, that's even more problematic for a defense. Let's watch. Again, has some time, gets the pressure from his right, ducks, then finds an opening up the middle. You know, again, it's the guy who you don't really expect to run who can really hurt a defense because they're just covering up everybody and not looking backwards for him to tuck it and go.
Murphy in the backfield with Stenstrom. Stenstrom throws it outside. Not much happening to A.J. Barber. Gets his first reception, now 6 on the season. Aaron Brebnor on the coverage.
That's that quick pass we talked about before. You know, you got 2 guys out wide. For that to work, the other receiver has got to make a block on the first one, and then the guy who catches the ball has to make one guy miss. But it has to happen quickly. And that one, just the defenders just stacked it all up and kept it to almost a no gain.
Stenstrom throws it out to Murphy. Murphy stopped at the 10-yard line. Brebnor again on the stop. Called Aaron's name a couple of times so far. To your starter, the junior out of Georgia, came into the game with 11 tackles in the first 2 games of the season.
Watch Brebnor fight through the block here. Look, he fights off the block, just gets in. Again, you've got to get the block from 25. You know, he's got to get out there and get his body on that cornerback. Cornerback just played it nicely, burrowed underneath, made a big-time stop.
Another 3rd down for Princeton, 3rd down and 7. Stenstrom scrambling. Stenstrom throwing, end zone, and they ran out of room on the sideline, and the pass is incomplete. And the field goal unit will come onto the field. So Stenstrom goes 6 of 7 on that opening drive, and Princeton will settle for a field goal attempt.
Take a look. He scrambles out. Now, one of the problems is there are a lot of bodies there in black jerseys. Now, again, receivers are told when the quarterback breaks out of the pocket, find him. But when you put all those receivers in the one spot, it means you also have a lot of defenders there.
Jeffrey Sexton with a 27-yard field goal attempt. That's his first attempt of the season, and it is good. 22nd make of his career at Princeton. So the Tigers score on their first possession. They'll kick it away to Columbia when we come back. Since this is our first Ivy League telecast of the season, we don't want to go any further without paying tribute to the late Buddy Tevens. We all know the story. Injured in an accident in Florida in March, passed away last week. Standout 2-sport athlete at his beloved Dartmouth College, a hockey player, an Ivy League champion and a quarterback, certainly made his mark as a head coach at Dartmouth in 2 stints, having great success as a player, won the 1978 championship. In 22 years as a head coach, 117 wins, 5 titles, made such an impact on all the young men who came through the Dartmouth program and beyond Dartmouth for the innovations and the care he has for the sport of football. I love the fact that throughout the league, everyone's wearing BT stickers, every team in the Ivy League, and I certainly wanted to get your thoughts on Buddy's passing.
You know, Buddy was a dear friend. Last time I saw him, we had lunch, and I remember saying to him, Buddy, I said, I am so envious of your life. You're at Dartmouth, a wonderful place around these great kids, and you've had this great success there with all of the professional success that he had, and it was astonishing what he's done. You talked about 2 sports. As a coach, what he's done for his alma mater, it was fabulous. But Eric, you know this, he was just a better person. You know, there are Buddy stories we can all tell. I'll tell you one that Bob Sorace told in a second after we do this kickoff. But he just, you know, he's one of those guys where there's just a hole in your heart when he's gone.
We will be in Hanover in a few weeks to see Princeton take on Dartmouth, and we'll spend more time reminiscing, talking about Buddy and his life and the great success and things he accomplished as a player, as a coach, and as a leader there. Columbia with the return, and they get another spark out of the return game here. Jack Carter McFadden, who gave them a spark last week against Georgetown. That was a shutout win for Columbia. He had a 48-yard return. That's a nice little spark to get the Lions going here for their first field position of the evening.
You know, and it's interesting because with the advent of the fair catch rule now that puts you on the 25, you're just not seeing very many returns. And part of the reason for the fair catch rule is to protect people. Carter McFadden, as you said, lit them up. He's been an integral part of their offense, giving them really good field position in their first few games.
So we'll see if it has the same spark as it did a week ago in the win against Georgetown as the offense comes on the field. Caden Bell is the quarterback for Columbia. He'll hand it to Joey Georgie, hard running back, with his 40th carry so far this season, averaging 94 yards a game through the first 2 games. Senior from Grafton, Wisconsin.
Joey Georgie had a prolific high school career in Wisconsin, and he's grown into the role as the #1 guy here, the running back. Coach Fabish said, we got a lot of #1 guys, and that's fine, but he's the #1 guy.
And what about the #1 quarterback, Caden Bell?
Yep.
Throwing here on 2nd down and 5, and it looks like it's going to be a 3rd down and short. Bell took over last year when Joe Green went down with a shoulder injury, a torn labrum. Bell played well down the stretch. They had a 3-game winning streak to close out the season, and it's Bell's job here in 2023.
You know, Joe Green was the Rookie of the Year 2 years before that, got hurt last year. We saw the game when Caden Bell comes in, and everybody was thinking, okay, has that title to manage, he's going to manage the game. Well, he did much more than that, and he won the quarterback job coming back this year, and so far, he's the guy they hoped he would be. Team voted him a captain. Once again, a sign of respect for his abilities as a leader.
3rd down and 2, they go to Georgie, who got enough for the 1st down as Columbia will move the chains.
You can see they pull a tight end back across. He gets a kick out block for him. Georgie finds that opening. Georgie is a very similar runner to John Volker in that he loves to run between the tackles.
Bell with the quick out, complete to Dominic Busby, one of the tight ends, who gets his first reception of the season for the Lions. Columbia 1-1, as I mentioned last week, a 30-0 victory over Georgetown to get Mark Fabish his first win as a head coach. 25 years as an assistant, getting his first chance, taking over for Al Bignoli. Bignoli stepping down on August the 4th. Georgie tries to bump it outside. Princeton is there. You know what Princeton does when it comes to defense. They are great run stoppers.
They got guys who, as the coaches tell us, they're linebackers, and you look at them right now, Ozzie Nicholas, Liam Johnson, Will Perez, these guys have the speed of running backs, and they can run sideline to sideline. And they've got the size to plug the hole, so it is really hard. You saw Georgie try to bounce it outside. It is really hard to get around the edge against this Princeton defense.
Only 2 games, but you see what Princeton is doing defensively and how good they are. Caden Bell throws to the outside, flags come in, and it looks like it's going to be pass interference, and it'll be a 1st down. Jalen Newman on the coverage. Let's confirm the flag. Eric Lewis is our referee.
Holding. Defense. Automatic 1st down.
So holding is the call, not pass interference, but the same result. It's a 1st down for Columbia, and they'll move it into Princeton territory.
Both of these teams are bringing really good defenses. Let's see, right there. Well, they're obviously called the hold before that. That was not a pass interference call, and you could see that the 22 was saying not pass interference, but clearly somebody called him on a hold before the receiver came out of his break. But once again, you saw there, Caden Bell had a lot of time to deliver that ball.
False start, 55 offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
First penalty of the game for Columbia, averaging 40 yards in penalties through the first couple of games of the season.
Coach Bob Serace exhorting his team. We saw the shot of Coach Mark Fabish with the new beard.
And another flag comes in, and another penalty against Columbia.
1st down.
You know, as a coach, you're going to say, all right, it's now our 3rd game of the season. These types of pre-snap mental mistakes have got to stop. Because coaches say nothing stops a drive. Right, they had 1st and 10. All of a sudden, they're in 1st and 20. There are not as many plays in your playbook for a 1st and 20 call.
Well, frankly, Mark told us too, they struggled in so many ways in that first game against Lafayette. You know, your longtime head coach is no longer there. Everyone's in different roles, and you're just playing as Ivy League teams. You know this very well. The Ivy League starts so late. These non-conference opponents have played 2, sometimes 3 games before an Ivy League team plays a game, and that's a big challenge.
It's a big deal. Their first game, Ivy teams, they're playing everybody who already has 2 games under their belts. Coaches will tell you your biggest improvement, usually from game 1 to game 2, but they're coming in guys who have already made their improvement.
There were big improvements for Columbia from game 1 to game 2. Bell, I think the intended receiver was Miller.
Like a little high and wild on that one. Going back to the comments about the 1st and 2nd game, Coach Fabish said, as you can see once again, Caden Bell still has the time, wants to get it out of his hands quickly. You know what? Somebody might have gotten a hand on that. It almost looked as if the defender just deflected it enough to change its trajectory. But what Coach Fabish said to us is that first game we tried to do too much. Second game against Georgetown, we simplified it, and it turned into a 30-0 win.
Third down and long for Columbia. They need to get down to the 32-yard line for a first down. They go on the ground. They've got a chance to get it. Hurtling forward and getting enough for the first down. What an effort by Malcolm Terry II, the junior out of Washington, D.C. On third and long, he gets enough for the first.
Remember we said you don't have a lot of plays for first and 20. How about for third and 18? A draw? Now you would think fine if you were figuring, all right, we're just going to punt anyway. But this is a draw. They were close enough into Princeton territory. And again, they've got just a great run out of Terry. Terry's a transfer from the Naval Academy, and they think an awful lot of him.
Georgie, some hard yards there for Columbia. That is one thing that was consistent in the first two games, according to the Columbia coaching staff. The results look completely different. Lafayette and Georgetown, but they're like, we played hard, and that's one thing we know we're going to do against Princeton on Friday night. These guys play hard, and that thing that we've seen so far, that determination, that grit, that toughness has been on display a couple times here in this opening drive. Back to the ground to Georgie on second down and short. That should be enough for another first down for the Lions.
And to finish your thought, Eric, that toughness is one of the things that Al Bagnoli brought to this program. Columbia was down. They were looked at by most teams as an automatic win when you were going to play them. The question was, would they even really show up? Well, once Al Bagnoli got there, they showed up every game, and now that toughness, it puts them in a situation where they're capable of winning against anybody they play.
To the outside, good pickup on first down as Columbia continues to move the ball down the field. Bryson Canty has his fourth reception. Well, I'm sure Coach Bagnoli is home watching us tonight. Hello, Al. We miss you on the sideline. We hope we're not saying anything that's making you upset so far. We'll do our best over the next 3 hours plus, but you know his accomplishments at Penn and certainly at Columbia, turning that program around. He announced his retirement, as I mentioned, August 4th. He had a heart procedure in February. He is still connected. He is mentoring, coaching staffs at Columbia. He still drops in the football office, but he's not watching film.
He is not walked. You know, Al Bagnoli, college football Hall of Fame guy. I think in just a couple of years you'll see him be there, deservedly so.
Edwards on third down and short, and that's going to be enough for another Columbia first down. So Princeton had a long opening drive, and now Columbia answering back.
Columbia's their running game it's been so far the centerpiece of their offense, and it's simple. Remember we said, Coach Papich said we simplified it. What you saw right there is basically what they're doing. They're not doing anything special or spectacular. Quick handoff up the middle. Every once in a while, they'll try to bounce something outside, set the edge, and get one of their running backs out there. But they are happy. They feel that their offensive line is big enough and strong enough to play against anybody in this league. And we're seeing right now, and again, this is a really talented Princeton defense. We're seeing right now that so far, they're doing what they want to do here now. Four guys split on the left. Interesting to see what they do.
Look at this spread. They throw it outside. As you mentioned, you got to get that first block, and that slowed things up just enough for Princeton to swarm to the ball. So Princeton had one possession in the first quarter. They had a 15-play drive. The quarter ends in the middle of Columbia's first possession. This will be their 16th play of this opening drive when we come back here to Princeton. The rain holding off. It's the Ivy League opener for the Tigers and the Lions. 3-0 Princeton after the first. Bob Serace, four-time Ivy League champion, of course, former player, standout at Princeton, but a little concerned about what he's seeing on the field right now because Columbia on their first drive has marched down the field against the Princeton defense. They are facing a third down and goal from the 6-yard line as we begin the second quarter here in Princeton.
We can call this a vaunted Princeton defense, which is why he is so concerned right now that Columbia has converted on 3 of 3 third down situations.
He is not going to be happy right now because
timeout, Princeton. First time out of the half.
coming out of the quarter break. Princeton did not have enough men on the field. Princeton had to take a timeout. Back in a moment. Rain's moving back in. It's very light right now, more of a mist. Timeout called by Princeton before the first play of the second quarter. When we talked to Bob Serace earlier this week, there's a lot of this. You could be upset, but they're taking more time. With such a veteran team the last couple of years, you can just stretch, go out and practice, run the plays. Now they have to spend so much more time making sure people are in the right position, working on installing the game,
making sure they're on the field.
Yes,
which they didn't have right then. But you're right, it's a different approach to this team.
3rd and goal from the 6. Bell's got good wheels, scrambling, and he'll be brought down inside the 5-yard line.
So what does Columbia do here? It looks like they're going to take the field goal, which is probably the smart move. See if they can tie it up. I was curious whether they might have said, you know what? We're here to win this game. We're on the road. If we get that close, we'll go for it on 4th. You can see, once again, pretty good protection. Some pressure coming from the edge. Gonna have to get a little wardrobe.
Yeah, Caden Bell's gonna need a little tailoring on the sideline. Here's the freshman from Frederick, Maryland, Hugo Mary, on to attempt a 22-yard field goal. 2 for 3 so far, and this one is a line shot that's going to miss the mark. You saw there was trouble with the snap and the hold. Andrew Donovan, the holder, Aaron Yu, the snapper. Those 3 try to get on the same page.
Yeah, that just never looked clean. Well, you know what? The snap wasn't bad. A little bit to the right side. I think the holder right there, see, just wasn't able to get it down quickly enough.
Almost looked like Mary, the freshman, too, was trying to hold the leg back just a little bit to give him that.
And that's what happens.
Second.
The kicker sees that it hasn't been smooth, that the ball is not set up yet, and he put just a little bit of a hitch. All right, you're driving the ball on a 350-yard hole, and all of a sudden there's just a little bit of something in your backswing here, and the ball goes 90 yards.
Speaking from experience, or are you trying to explain my game?
Vast experience.
So they'll spot it at the 20 after the missed field goal, and Princeton, after a 15-play drive, resulted in a field goal in the first quarter. They go to the ground for a gain of about 2 for Volker, give them 3 on first down.
Get a sense of getting a little misty out. You can see it in this camera shot here.
2nd and 7 for the 23.
2nd and 7, play action from Stenstrom. Looking long, man coverage, has a man. Complete to Barber. Big play for Princeton.
That is what has been missing from this Princeton offense for the first 2 games. And the coaches have told, Bob Serace told us that. Starts off with plenty of time. Stenstrom's able to step into his throw. He's got no safety help over the middle. A.J. Barber splits that seam, and a perfectly delivered ball.
45 yards. Barber's long this season was 9. We saw him score a touchdown here last year against Brown. Big play there to get things going for Princeton into Columbia territory. Ball spotted at the 33. Back outside to JoJo Hawkins. Hawkins has a hard couple of yards for the Tigers. Brebnor again on the stop for Columbia.
Brebnor has been busting up these plays defensively almost every time. We've talked before about what has to happen for that to be successful. Hasn't happened yet so far, but I don't anticipate that Princeton's going to go away from it. It's a major part of what they do. Take a look and be ready for him to pump that, and then send the guy who's stalking the block to take off down to the end zone.
Rain picks up a little bit more. Stenstrom will keep it on the ground, and Stenstrom bounces it outside, brought down at the 16-yard line by Hayden McDonald. First down, Princeton, 12 yards on the carry.
Touchdown saving tackle by McDonald. Showing you once again what we talked about before, that Blake Stenstrom doesn't run a lot, but when he does, he's very effective. He pulls it. His read is on that defender. What's he going to do? And the defender was going with John Volker. He pulls it out. So that was a designed look. The option there for Blake Stenstrom, reads it perfectly, turns it into a first down.
Flag thrown. This will be 5 yards against Princeton.
False start, 83 offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Luke Colella gets called for the penalty.
And it drives coaches crazy when one of your wideouts jumps. They'll say, guys, you're looking at the ball. That's your job. You have one job, look at the ball, and when it's snapped, you go. It's a little bit more understandable when it's an interior lineman than it is with one of your wide guys. But I think he wanted to get into that block quickly.
Stenstrom will keep it. He's not going very far. That's Anthony Roussos, who's the middle linebacker now for Columbia. Of course, Scott Valentis, standout, multiple All-Ivy selections. You remember the Roussos name, I'm sure, because his brother Mike was a standout for Columbia.
Anthony Roussos, again, picking up the family mantle. He's the same kind of player. Just he'll hit you all day long. He's got some speed. You're getting a sense now of the rain picking up here, which I suspect will mean you're going to see Blake Stenstrom carrying the ball a lot more.
They'll make a quick pass, but it's incomplete. Wobbly attempt for Colella to try to hold on to. They'll bring up a third down.
I suspect you can blame the rain on that. You can see it comes off a little wobbly out of Stenstrom's hand. Colella lets the ball get into his body, although again, when it's with the rain like this, your instinct is to let the ball get into your body, protect it, almost like a basket catch.
Seth Parker with a few words at the end of that play from Columbia's side. Third and 14. Stenstrom throws towards the corner. A lot of contact down there. No flag. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Colella, and there was Parker, who we saw sending a message earlier. Does it with his play on 3rd and long.
He's backing up that message here. You can see that from the beginning, Stenstrom was looking to him. A lot of grabbing going on there. The ball hits him in the back. Now, there was a time when the rules would have said, okay, you're face guarding him, and they're going to throw a flag. That has gone away.
Sexton hit from 28 in the first quarter, attempting from 38, but it'll be a little bit of a challenge here with the rain picking up. And Stenstrom will hook it wide. Kick is no good. A miss from 38 for Princeton. Princeton 1 for 2 on field goal attempts. Columbia 0 for 1 on a rainy night in New Jersey. Tigers score holds 3-0 first half. Tomorrow on ABC and also on the ESPN app, you'll see number 3 Texas taking on 24th ranked Kansas. That's at 3:30 Eastern time. That's a matchup of undefeated teams. Then Notre Dame, trying to bounce back after the heartbreaking loss to Ohio State, will face 17th ranked Duke. Duke's 4-0 as Wallace Wade Stadium will be rocking. They'll get things going early because College Game Day is in Durham, that noted football school, 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow on ESPN.
How about Kansas and Duke, the basketball schools, becoming football schools, both undefeated coming into this weekend. Some really good matchups.
Columbia ready for their second possession. Their first was an 18-play drive, covered 61 yards, took 7 minutes and 41 seconds, but it was a miss of a 22-yard field goal attempt. This drive starts at their own 20-yard line.
Princeton showing zone. They've got 2 high safeties here.
They go to Georgie on the ground, who slides forward to about the 24, maybe the 25-yard line. Georgie is Columbia's semifinalist for an award that you're the Campbell Trophy.
Campbell Trophy. I happen to be the chair of the committee that picks the top scholar athletes in the National Football Foundation. And the Ivy League has somebody from every team represented in the group of semifinalists.
Pass is incomplete, so a 3rd down and 7 coming up. There you see Georgie. So what are the qualifications? What are the requirements?
Well, you have to be either a starter or a major contributor. You have to be at least a 3.2. The average of the semifinalists is about 3.6, all added together. And they're just fabulous young men in addition to being fabulous football players.
Well, this will be 3 and out for Columbia after a 18-play drive. It's a 3 and out. There's Ozzie Nicholas. He and Liam Johnson pairing up to make fantastic interior linebacking duo
You
for
watch
Princeton.
these two guys, they are as good in pass coverage as they are in run coverage. We talked about their ability to run sideline to sideline, the old expression. This is pretty old, maybe even before you. Bear Bryant talking about Leroy Jordan, his fabulous linebacker, went on to play a great career with the Cowboys, and his comment was, if they stay within the lines, Leroy will get them. And you can say the same thing about these linebackers at Princeton.
First punt for William Hughes. It's a good one. A.J. Barber back for the return from his 28. Barber out to the 36-yard line. Barber's third return of the season. So let's take a look at the Princeton quarterback, Blake Stenstrom.
So right there you can see the size. He's a classic pocket quarterback who can run a little bit. Good throws over the middle, that out that they like to run. Once again, finding space, getting his receivers to sit down in the middle. Long play here to A.J. Barber. This is the first good long play they've had in a while with this Princeton offense.
Stenstrom 8 of 11 passing, 87 yards, and he's rushed 4 times for 28 yards. They go on the ground on first down to Jiggy Carr. Volker, Murphy, Carr, or may see Ethan Clark, a freshman, get a touch or two tonight. The running back room for Princeton, it's got some pretty good depth.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys there that they think can help them carrying the ball, and I think especially in this kind of weather, you're going to see them all get their chance. Princeton loves this formation. Split 2 guys on either side of the formation. Put one in motion.
Play action, Stenstrom to throw, looking deep again, man coverage again, but this time it's going to fall incomplete. Pass intended for Jalen Gear. Bob Saray said we will see him, so we see him, but they couldn't connect. Third and long coming up.
The offensive scheme so far, you can look, just the play action right there, the play action freezes the middle linebacker. In the meantime, the safeties have stepped up a little bit and are looking for the play action. So what they're getting is one-on-one coverage deep. The time before with A.J. Barber, they connected. That time, a little bit of an overthrow by Blake Stenstrom, but they're getting the look defensively that they hoped for.
Princeton facing third down and long, and Stenstrom's got a little room to run. A flag is thrown as Stenstrom heads out of bounds. It is in the area of holding, and they'll probably bring this one back.
Holding, 79 offense, 10-yard penalty, third down.
Nicholas Hilliard, senior right guard, flagged for the hold.
See, once again, it's play action. Linebackers drop deep into the middle, which is where the Princeton offense had been working. Took that away from Blake Stenstrom. Uses his legs, except for the call. And you got for the offensive linemen, it's hard for them. They don't know. They're counting in their head. Has he released the ball yet? It's a tough situation for them to be in when you have a guy like Stenstrom who can deliver both with his arm and with his legs.
3rd and 20 for the Tigers, who have to get to their 45 for a first down. We saw Columbia convert a third down and long. Princeton won't convert a third down and long as they get there defensively very quickly to stop Jiggy Carr. Rocco Milia on the stop for Columbia, and Princeton will punt.
They had A.J. Barber deep down the right side. And I suspect you're going to see him come back and talk to Stenstrom. I suspect you're going to hear the guys up in the booth talk to Stenstrom about coming back to that play at some point in time. They've been successful. We mentioned before about getting one-on-one coverage outside.
Good pressure. Looks like it was blocked as it heads out of bounds. Freshman Brady Clark was facing a strong rush from Columbia. And let's see where they spot it. It's going to be in Princeton territory at the 45-yard line.
You can see them come hard off of their right edge.
I don't know if he got it. I think he rushed it maybe. Ethan Hebb was in there on the pressure. I did not see the referee indicate tip, but it certainly looked to me like Brady Clark took a peek up and
I think you're absolutely right.
his mechanics a little bit.
Absolutely right. You know, he can feel that pressure coming off of his left, and it's just a slight change to end up with that punt. But I think you're right. I don't think anybody got a hand on it.
Caden Bell under center, first down and 10 from the 45-yard line. On the ground, big hole for Georgie. Big gain on first down. Out across the 35, down to the 34, gain of 11.
You can tell that this Columbia offense is starting to feel confident. Once again, you got a seal-off block from the two interior guys. You got the tight end kicking somebody else out, opens up that lane for Joey Georgie. He's got quick feet and some power.
Bell will throw it to Georgie on first down. Princeton's ready for him on this play. Still fights forward for a gain of about a yard. Taj Owens there for Princeton, Jack.
Interesting play to get him open. He starts in motion around the left side, loops all the way back to the right flank, and gets that quick pass. It's the equivalent of the old pitch sweep, just doing it in a different way and in a quicker way to try to get to the edge.
Of course, Mark Fabish was the offensive coordinator before moving up to the interim head coaching spot. Georgie has got another first down.
They found some things that are working here. Most of it involves the legs of Joey Georgie. Once again, you pull the tight end around to seal on the left side. Georgie feels the pressure on the left side, sees the seam on the right, bounces it back outside, and he shows us once again why he's been leading this team in rushing, averaging almost 100 yards a game.
Good carry here for Terry as Columbia continues to move it down the field. That's a gain of about 5. So with Fabish taking over as head coach, Joe DeRazio is in his first year as the offensive coordinator. He was the running back coach the last 4 years. So you always wonder, like, well, is there going to be someone's stamp on it, or is the former offensive coordinator still got a big say in things now that he's
the guy who liked the running game, and right now there's everything to like about the Columbia running game.
2nd and 5, another good gain, another push of the pile, another first down. Terry will move the chains.
They are just gashing this Princeton defense, getting through the first level into the second level on almost every play. Mark Fabish there having a word with the official.
6-yard gain, 1st and 10 on the Princeton 12.
Princeton's defense last year gave up 34 yards a game on the ground. That's the number this year through 2 games, but right now Columbia is winning the battle up front. Their offensive line getting things done, opening the holes for Terry and for Georgie. Johnson making the tackle.
And we're used to saying, as you mentioned, we're used to talking about this nationally ranked Princeton rush defense, number 2 in the nation coming in this game, averaging 32 a game, and we can see the first time now in a while that the defense just stopped up the run. But we've seen Columbia gets up a little bit gimpy, heading off to the side, but we've seen Columbia gashing this Princeton defense on the ground, and not something you would have anticipated.
That's Terry who goes to the sideline. Third down and 3. 8th play of this drive for Columbia. Big third down play. Can they keep it moving here? Georgie with the stutter step, the lean forward, and it's going to depend on the spot. It looks like he's about a half yard short, but let's wait.
If he's short, the question is, what does Columbia do here? I'm thinking if I'm Mark Fabish, I'm comfortable that we've asserted ourselves offensively, and you know the kicking game has not been so good. Maybe it's time to make that hard decision that now the head coaches make. He talked before about, you know, it used to be a committee. We'd all talk about and offer suggestions. Now he has to make the decision. We see the one he's made here.
4th down and inches for Columbia. Bell wants to keep it, wants to bounce it outside. He won't get there. Princeton holds. Mason Armstead
You know, an odd call. You would have thought that they would put Bell on the edge with an option. Right? Run it or throw it. Maybe somebody busted a coverage, but there was nobody out there. You can see, fakes it, heads to the outside. It looks like he's looking for a receiver, but can't find any. And Princeton holds here in Princeton, New Jersey. Princeton up 3-0.
It's the NFL like you've never seen it before. Falcons and Jaguars will transform into the world of Toy Story in real time. Tune in for Toy Story Fun Day Football, Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on ESPN+.
We're back here, Princeton, New Jersey. Eric Free, Jack Ford, 3-0 Princeton. The rain has let up. It came down hard earlier. Columbia again has a drive stall inside the 5, Jack.
It looks like, again, fakes up the middle, heads to the outside. Caden Bell can run, but it looked like he was expecting a receiver. Give him an option there. Usually what you get is the tight end on that side will block, cause the linebacker who's going to cover him to draw in, and then release to the outside. But he had nobody releasing to that side.
So it was a busted play?
I would suspect so. I just can't imagine they would try to run that from that distance, run him by himself, looking at that defense with nobody to help blocking on the outside.
Inside of 4 minutes to go in a fast-moving first half. Blake Stenstrom and the Tigers inside their own 10-yard line with a 2nd down and 8. Stenstrom's looked long a couple of times. Now he's looking to get out of his own end zone. He'll slide down at the 8.
Blake Stenstrom slides down.
They almost had him there. As you said, he was looking to get out of his end zone. That's where it helps to be 6'4" and 220. Somebody pulls on you a little bit, and you just pull back and get yourself out there.
Pasalakwa was there for Columbia, so a 3rd down and 8 facing Stenstrom and the Princeton offense.
You know, with 3 minutes left, they want to move the chains. They don't want to give the ball back to Columbia, given the momentum that Columbia has built up so far. And if they do give it back to them from here, Columbia pretty surely would have some good field position to start that drive.
Princeton was 3 for their first 3 on 3rd down. They're 0 for their last 3 on 3rd down. They throw it to Volker out of the backfield, who leans forward, but he's going to be short. He's going to be about 1.5 yards short. Milia there on the stop to keep him short of the 1st down marker, and Princeton will have to punt. Timeout called by Columbia.
Timeout, Columbia. First time out of the half.
It's an interesting defensive look by Columbia. They stacked the left side. They had one guy rushing on the right side. They had 3 bodies on the left side to put pressure. You can see right there, you see the 3 defensive linemen all on the left side, one coming in from the right side. They were able to close the pocket down. Stenstrom loves to release, to check down and release to John Volker, because he knows if you get Volker in the open field, a lot of good things can happen for Princeton. But you saw the defenders from Columbia closing down quickly on that.
C.J. Brown, the senior from Houston, was there to assist Milia on the stop. Now remember, Columbia got good pressure on Clark on his last punt, and he didn't hit it very far, so we'll see what happens here. First punt went 14 yards from his goal line. Has time here, gets off good kick.
No pressure this time. Columbia looking to...
No fair catch, ball's out. Fumble Columbia, Princeton's got it.
Columbia decides to go no pressure on the punt. They want to do a punt return, so they drop guys back to block. McFadden is the receiver. We know how good he's been in the return game in the first 2 games of the season. Again, you got a wet ball. You got a lot of people coming down on you. And look what happens. He's got enough room. Just doesn't have it tucked in. And number 12 gets a hand in just to punch it out a little bit. Kayvon Miller doing a great job cover. Watch him. He squares up enough that he doesn't create a problem with the receiving. You've got that halo rule. You've got to give him enough room to catch the ball, but he's able to get one hand in just to punch that ball out. And remember, we're talking about wet footballs here. They try to keep them dry, but it's hard to keep moving in dry footballs.
Tyler Morris on the recovery, and that's Morris who's being helped now on the sideline. So Morris getting looked at. Princeton ball when we come back. Well, we're back at Princeton. A takeaway for Princeton, the fumble by Columbia. And in the celebration, Tyler Morris came down awkwardly, and that's how he came to be limping off the field.
You hate to see that happen, and how often do we see it? They understand, they're excited. This is a big deal for them to grab the ball back here with about 2 minutes left, and you hate to see something like that happen. Hopefully he'll be able to get back on the field.
Tyler just came out of the medical tent, so
good news.
Let's hope for the best.
Good news. But a huge break for Princeton. We talked about how Columbia was going to get great field position. They had momentum going into this.
Volker drops the football, falls right on top of it. It'll be a loss of about a yard or so, as Justin Townsend was right on top of Volker.
Not sure if that was a problem with the exchange, if Stenstrom was planning on pulling that out again for looking at another option.
It is definitely more misty than rainy, but it is still wet. Stenstrom dropped Tyler Picnic, the tight end, the intended receiver. 3rd down and 12 for Princeton.
You can take a look. Once again, Stenstrom extending the play, feels some pressure off of his right, is able to slide to the left, deliver the ball. Just a tough thing when it's wet like this for the receivers to get their hands on the ball.
It's not like these two teams don't have experience playing in bad weather. They did it last weekend, and this is considerably better weather than we saw here last week for Princeton in their game against Bryant. 3rd and 12. Stenstrom hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. See if Stenstrom's okay, because he took a pretty hard hit.
You know, he's a tough kid. He's a big kid. We talked about it before. He had number 0, JoJo Hawkins, open on that sideline route. We can take a look here. 4-man rush. Columbia often just use a 4-man rush. Good penetration. And just because of the hit makes the ball fall short. Quentin Autry, Justin Townsend putting the pressure on.
Clark to punt. Now the fair catch for McFadden, who has it inside the 10-yard line. So a minute 42 to go in the first half. We'll see what Columbia can do when we come back. Blake Stenstrom and Princeton unable to put a touchdown on the scoreboard so far in the first half, but Bob Sorace's defense certainly has been bending. They have not broken so far and given up any points. Columbia's gotten inside the 5-yard line twice. Nothing to show for it for Mark Fabish. We'll keep it on the ground here. We'll see if Princeton will just let it play out on this first play. Remember, Princeton had to use a timeout out of the quarter break because they didn't have the proper personnel in place on the field. So they have 2 timeouts left. We'll see if they'll use one after this play. Columbia's still moving pretty quickly here after the 6-yard pickup.
Columbia's not ready to just pack it in for the half.
Caden Bell on the outside, and a good tackle on the outside at 20. So Columbia has a first down here. We'll see what they can do in the 2-minute drill.
Got a little sense of the strength of Caden Bell's arm. Coach has told us that he can spin it and get out there. And we haven't yet seen him using his running ability here. And we know that he has it.
Looking left the whole way, throwing, and incomplete. Looked for a brief moment that one had pick 6 written all over it, as Will Perez was there in the coverage for Princeton.
Will Perez, again, one of those big mobile linebackers. Will Perez about 6'3", 6'4", who can run. And you can tell he read this immediately, got himself out into the flat, and
a little out of reach.
Yeah, a little out of reach for both guys, for the defenders and it's a good thing it was out of reach. Otherwise, that would have been a quick 6.
On 2nd down and 10, timeout's going to be called here by Princeton because it's going to be a 3rd down and long for Columbia. Edwards, the carry, Nicholas on the stop.
So doing what you had suggested, get them in a situation where they can use both those timeouts and see if they get their hands on the ball one last time.
So the teams will huddle up with 52 seconds to go here in the 2nd quarter. Monday Night Football will feature DK Metcalf and the Seahawks squaring off against the Giants up the road at MetLife. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific on ESPN. ESPN Deportes. Also, Peyton and Eli return on ESPN2. Have you been in contact with Archie? Is he okay with
I've talked
the boys?
with Archie. He loves the boys. The boys are trying to get him into part of the show.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Why is he hesitating?
You know what? Archie is
He would class
interesting
that
guy.
show up.
Archie was one of the most fabulous athletes you have ever seen in your life. And people who saw him play realize, he played against Alabama. He threw for 400 and some yards, ran for 200 and some yards. But Archie's happy with letting the spotlight be on the boys now. It's just a great family.
3rd down and 10. Princeton with 1 timeout remaining. They do the pitch on the inside here for a few yards. It's going to be short of the 1st down marker, so Princeton's going to use their final timeout. Willis Meyer, the receiver, took the pitch from Caden Bell. And so Sarace will use his final timeout and force Columbia to punt. Now, the wind's been swirling around a little bit. It looks like at the moment Columbia is going to be kicking into the breeze, or at least it's a quartering breeze that's going to hurt here a little bit. And we'll see how Will Hughes, the veteran punter, handles it.
Gives you a sense of the breeze looking up there at the flags. The number 42 you're seeing on your right, the great Dick Kazmaier, Heisman Trophy winner here at Princeton back in the 50s. He was back when they did run the single wing offense here at Princeton. But just a fabulous man. I got to know him a little bit before he sadly passed away. And Princeton flying that flag for a lot of years, as they should.
Speaking of flying flags and putting up championship banners, men's and women's basketball teams were honored on the field a short time ago. We will talk with the head coaches coming up just after our halftime report. Right after the start of the 3rd quarter, Carla Berube and Mitch Henderson will stop by. Here's A.J. Barber, no fair catch for Barber, looking for a good return, and he takes it out to the 38-yard line.
Combination of courage and skill there, A.J. Barber. The courage to field it and the skill to actually field it. And almost, you know what, he was one guy away from turning this into a pretty good return.
And it's a thin line to carelessness, too. But, you have to, I'm going with the courage.
I'll go with the courage. I will go with the courage.
36.
See, 34 seconds left. Princeton would love to do something here just to get them close enough to take a shot at a field goal. Yeah, makes a couple guys miss. Good coverage. Good return.
First down and 10. Princeton out of timeouts, 34 seconds to go. Stenstrom throws it outside. It is complete at the 45, maybe the 46. I think it's going to be a yard short of the 1st down. So the clock continues to move here. Luke Colella with the reception.
Yeah, good pattern, good throw. You would probably want Colella to try to spin to the outside, see if there's any chance of him getting out of bounds.
Clock continues to run now with 11 seconds. Stenstrom pressure from behind. Townsend has him. Justin Townsend, 2.5 sacks now on the season. Remember, he had 6 a season ago. He can get to the quarterback, and that sack ends the 1st half.
Justin Townsend showing some speed to track down Blake Stenstrom, because we've talked before, Blake Stenstrom has some wheels. He can move. See Townsend coming off that left edge, fights his way past the block, and at this point in time, it's a foot race. And Townsend just closing.
Looks like Stenstrom may have bobbled the football a little bit. Yeah, he was trying to make sure he did not cough it up in the final seconds as Townsend got the sack. So that's how the 1st half comes to a close. Columbia moved the football, could not score. Just a field goal in the 1st quarter from Jeffrey Sexton, our scoring. 3-0 Princeton. Our halftime report is next. Definitely hat weather here in Princeton. Rain's let up just a bit, but it's a wet night, and as a result, it's a low score. Princeton 3, Columbia nothing. as we continue here at halftime. Eric Freed, Jack Ford back here with you. I think the big story, Jack, in that first half is Columbia was able to run the ball and run the ball well against this vaunted Princeton defense, but the problem is they have nothing to show for it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, both teams, if you think about it, between the 10s were moving the ball, but they couldn't get it into the end zone. It's as if we were kind of watching a heavyweight fight, and they stung each other with some jabs, but nobody's been able to deliver the big hit yet. We'll have to see if coming into the second half now they got a better sense of what the other guys are going to do. See if we can get some bigger plays and some more points on the board.
3-0 is the score at halftime with Princeton on top of Columbia. When we come back, we'll have the start of the second half. Also, a couple of special guests talking Ivy champions here at Princeton on the hardwood next. They know how to celebrate championships here at Princeton when it comes to basketball because they've done it a lot through the years, including back in March. Women's basketball team, they won the regular season championship. They won Ivy Madness at Jadwin Gym. The men won Ivy Madness as well. Carla Berube knows how to cut down those nets and celebrate. The men went on to make it to the Sweet 16, knocked off Arizona, number 2 seed. They were the number 15 seed. The women knocked off NC State. They pulled an upset in the NCAA tournament. The men went on to knock off Mizzou as well. Great accomplishments last year, and with us now, Carla Berube, Mitch Henderson, the head coaches for the two teams. Congratulations on all the past success. I know coaches are like, well, that was great, but we're looking forward. But just a word, first of all, you, Carla, just what it means to continue that tradition here at Princeton, because basketball matters so much here.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it was a magical March for Princeton basketball, both men's and women's, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had just a tremendous team and leadership, and it was just fun watching Mitch and his group do as well as they did.
Sweet 16, I mean, that's pretty good.
We had a blast, and one of our favorite moments from the season was the selection show. Both teams sitting there after the Ivy League tournament. We were just talking about that, and then we kind of both go our separate ways, and then the teams watching them watch each other in the tournament. So, we were just joking beforehand, like we get a chance to enjoy this one more time here to talk about it a little bit more.
That's it.
Yeah. It's interesting because watching Princeton play, and I mentioned to you before, I'm a former Yale football player, so I was there at the tournament and was fairly upset when Princeton moved on, but I became, maybe the first time in my life, a huge Princeton fan. I was watching or cheering. I was going to travel to the game. But the country became Princeton fans. And did you guys sense that on the runs?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely felt it across the country. I think both Mitch and my teams, we play a great brand of basketball that's fun to watch and play really hard. And
it's fun basketball. It's good basketball. And I love that people got to know the stories of your players. And they said, these are great basketball players. But boy, they're special kids too, aren't they?
Yeah, I totally agree. And, we felt it, especially, representing Princeton, which, there's a rabid fan base here. And, you get an opportunity. We think this is the best place to be an undergrad in the country. I know you're a Yale person, but
we like Princeton. We like Princeton.
And our alums were just so fired up about it. And that made our players feel really special.
Yeah, a great, interesting piece of history. The only time in the Ivy League history where you had, from the same school, two teams, men and women, each winning a tournament game. And you look back and you think, wow, Ivy basketball has been so good for so long. Is this really the only first time? And it was a fabulous thing.
Well, I'll ask the hard question. So what do you do for an encore? How do you go about repeating that, because the league is so tough? We've seen that and how competitive and how well played it is from all 8 teams. So time to forget about last year, Carla, and look forward.
It certainly is, and today was practice number 1 for both of us and our teams, and we're looking forward to the season ahead. And when you get on that stage, you want to get back on that stage, and so we'll be hungry for sure.
November 6th.
Yeah, we're right at it. I mean, it's right. Today was first day, as Carla mentioned, but it feels like we're right around the corner, and the clock's ticking. But that's for both programs, and I think for our league, like, it's about winning the league. We both have very challenging non-conference schedules to get ourselves ready.
You both lost players of the year, former players of the year, and some other talent, some senior talent. Give us a projection. I know coaches are often loath to say, here's what we're going to do. But give us a sense how you're looking at each of your tears, what the strengths, what the weaknesses, Carl.
Yeah, well, luckily we do have our player of the year is back.
Right.
Caitlin Chen is our point guard and a tremendous player and facilitator and leader. Ellie Mitchell's just a dog. She gets after it on both ends of the floor, great rebounder. But we've got some really young talent too. Looking forward to just players stepping up into new roles and yeah, just looking forward to the season.
Speaking of talent, Mitch, I need you to look at this. We're going to throw up here after this punt right here because we know you were a player here. Carla played at UConn. You were a player here, so you had great moments here. But this is 3 and out here for Columbia, so they're going to punt on 4th down and 7. You're here to enjoy the game, too. I know we could talk hoop all night. I know you can do that, but you got to make sure.
We are pulling hard for our Tigers.
The boot is going to bounce and roll and be knocked down and covered at the 45-yard line. Was there contact from Princeton? Yes, that's a live ball. Princeton made contact. You saw the Columbia sideline pointed out, so it's going to be a turnover. Princeton's looking for an explanation now, but for the moment, it's Columbia football. We'll see if they'll go to the monitor to review it for sure.
We talked about some of the mental mistakes that we've seen here. Now, ordinarily, you'd say okay, early in the season, this is the 3rd game. And as coaches, you'd think, all right, we know better than to make these mental mistakes. You can see Coach Bob Serace there, especially in this kind of weather. Short hop, you're going to have great position there.
Yeah, A.J. Barber was telling everybody to clear away.
That's
but
where,
The rule on the field was that it touched a player of the receiving team's helmet and then recovered by the kicking team.
Yeah, if
that
you're the
play is
receiver,
for review.
if you're the receiver, you've got calls that you make. Some guys poison, stay away from the ball. But the problem is when it takes that big kick backwards and you're not expecting it to come back and hit you in the helmet.
All right, so they're going to review right now. This way we can review this. Are we ready to roll this this little piece of video showing some of Mitch's skills while they're at video review? Okay. All right, so you've had some memorable moments on the court. Look at that hair. It hasn't changed one bit. Celebrating. All right, maybe you're just a little distinguished gray, but is this Garrett Cole or is this the head coach of Princeton basketball in the Mount Yankee
Come
Stadium?
on.
There's a good-looking delivery there.
I tell you,
right?
that I'm glad that they showed just that part of it.
Did you
and
skip
not
it?
the finish.
Did
It
you
sure
bounce
did.
it? Oh,
On the other side of the plate.
no.
And this guy, by the way, 12 varsity letters in high school, football guy. He was a football guy, basketball and baseball, and you skipped it, huh?
I did, and you know, I could talk about that all night. But,
But let's move on to something else.
The best part was the catcher caught it and he goes, hey, can you sign it for me? And he was like, where do you want me to sign? I was like, on the scuff mark.
Well, you're welcome because we threw the action shot with the ball still,
Yeah,
like,
good.
85, a little cut
It's
on
a good
it,
thing
too.
about editing. You
No.
didn't have to tell us. You skipped it.
didn't.
We would
No,
not have known.
it
You
had
could
to
have
come
said,
out.
no, it's right on the
No
corner.
one's let me forget about
Hot
it.
on the edge. It was good.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on not bouncing that first pitch, at least in our eyes, and congratulations on the great success last year, but more importantly, best of luck and a healthy new year coming up 23-24, Carlin.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Eric.
much.
Fabulous year for Princeton, fabulous for the Ivy League. So we
Agree.
all appreciate what you've accomplished, except when you played Yale.
Thank you.
On the field stands. First down.
All right, so it's going to be Columbia football off the turnover you saw after the review. Let's take a look at it and see. Top of your screen, it's not around Barber. It's right on this bounce here, and I think it came off the helmet, and you can see the official right here saying touch, 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 the back judge. So after review, the play stands, and Columbia is able to set up 1st down and 10 in Princeton territory.
And that's tough because he's doing his job, trying to block, and he's got his back to the ball. So let's see now. Columbia starts the way they finished. They're running the ball between the tackles. Joey Georgie having a productive night so far. Columbia obviously very comfortable with trying to move the ball on the ground.
They go with a quick pass. Bell on the outside, and the pass is complete, but for a loss of about 1 on the play.
Princeton has sniffed that out just about every time, as has Columbia. And I've got to believe that there's somebody up in the booth here, and for Columbia who's going to look at this and say, all right, next time out, set the 2 guys on the left side or the right side, pump it to the 1 receiver, let the blocker set up as if he's going to block, and just let him release downfield. Something would be there.
3rd down from the 40. Bell with time, throws it to Georgie, who can't hold on to it. Pass is incomplete. It's going to be 4th down and 7. Bell, for the moment, staying near the line of scrimmage.
Interesting call. Assistant coach Paul Rice there getting the special teams out there. He's linebackers coach, special teams coach. Paul Rice was a fantastic football player at Yale, as a matter of fact. Excellent young coach. He's the kind of guy that you expect pretty soon somebody's going to look at him and say, this guy is our next head coach.
So Columbia will punt. Will Hughes comes on with A.J. Barber deep. Good snap. Good kick into the breeze, and Barber lets it go, and it will roll at the 9, and that's where Columbia will cover it. 12-11 to go, 3rd quarter here at Princeton. Still 3-0 Tigers. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, All-States. We do have a field goal on the board today, and that is it. Rainy night here in New Jersey, 3-0 Princeton, as the Tigers will go on offense for the first time here in the second half. Blake Stenstrom, 12 of 18 passing, 111 yards in that first half. Had that 44-yard connection to A.J. Barber for the big play offensively.
So 111 yards in the air is not bad in this kind of weather. What they haven't done is they haven't been able to run the ball. Stenstrom, 28 yards, the leading gainer. John Volker had 14 at the half. Not what you expected.
Intercepted! Touchdown! Justin Townsend, who had the sack to end the first half, comes up with the play of the game here in the 3rd quarter.
Justin Townsend establishing himself as of now the player of the game. You talked about that play that he made running Blake Stenstrom down to end the half. This time he's coming up. You can see him, 36 on the left edge. He reads it immediately. So he doesn't try to put the pressure on Stenstrom. He just pulls off from his blocker, perfectly setting himself up. But you know what? That's a great grab to make when a guy delivers the ball 3 yards away from you.
On a wet night when we've seen receivers make drops all night long, he had the softest hands of the night.
That's the most important part of that play. The most impressive part is that he held on to that ball.
Justin Townsend, the junior from Randolph, New Jersey, got it done with the sack, gets it done with the interception. Here as Stenstrom is picked, and the celebration was on. And the fastest Townsend's looked tonight was running away from his teammates on the sideline. They couldn't celebrate with him. An elite athlete comes up with a big play. Columbia on top here in the 3rd. Justin Townsend with a sack and a 2-yard interception return for a touchdown to add to his impressive highlight reel in his Columbia career. 7-3 Columbia on top here in the 3rd quarter. So Blake Stenstrom throws the interception. That's his 3rd of the season.
That was such a good defensive play. Townsend just read it perfectly. Clearly their scouting report made them realize that this is what's coming out of this. He never engaged in his blocker, just drifted out to the left, almost baited Blake Stenstrom into throwing the ball. Probably figured, all right, yeah, I can knock that ball down if possible, but he made a great hands catch on it. Townsend right there. 67 on his jersey, you might be wondering. It's the late Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell, a captain of the Columbia team, the only Columbia team to win an Ivy championship in '61, went on to have a storied career in business world, chairman of Intuit, and had been an enormous supporter of Columbia football.
Hugo Mary with the boots. And this will be a touchback, and Princeton will set up at the 25-yard line. 7-3 Columbia here on top tonight as we begin our Ivy League coverage for a new year. But you can catch the Ivy League on ESPN+. It's the home to 30 Ivy League football games, over 30 in fact, including tomorrow's Dartmouth-Penn matchup that begins at 1 Eastern time. Next Saturday, Princeton hosting Lafayette at 1 Eastern. If you are an Ivy League fan, go to ESPNplus.com to sign up. Ivy openers for the Big Green and the Quakers. Hayden Say, an excellent quarterback for Penn, 354 yards last week in the win against Bucknell. Of course, Penn had that fantastic finish to the season last year. Closed out their season against their arch rivals Princeton, playing the role of spoiler.
They did indeed. You know, there are some great quarterbacks in this league this year. Some returning veterans, guys that put up really big numbers. Should be a fun season watching their play.
It's going to be tough to top the upset in New Haven. I know you didn't want me to necessarily bring this up, but Cornell knocking off Yale after falling behind 14-0 last week. Stenstrom throwing, and it is tipped, broken up, incomplete. 23-21 was the final. Cornell was down 14-0. Jackson Kennedy with the field goal as time expired, as Cornell sent an early message to Ivy League football fans that anything is possible this year.
They were 5-5 last year, and they bring a lot of bodies back, a lot of talent. Jamison Wong is their quarterback, had a fantastic day against Yale last week. He's a guy that could lead them back to where they want to be, going back to the days of the great Ed Marinaro, where they won Ivy League championships. So Cornell has a good team. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with this season.
3rd down and 9. Remember, Princeton was 3 for 3 on 3rd down on their opening drive, but they are 0 for their last 5. Play clock expired.
Offense. 5-yard penalty.
There was a lot going on there, mostly on the defense. You saw the defense shifting. It looked at one point in time as if the defensive line was not sure where they were supposed to be. And it seemed to just be enough, that movement just is enough to throw off the rhythm of Princeton.
We talked about the transition, the changes, and the playmakers for Princeton, but there are some new faces on the offensive line. Their best offensive lineman is out with an injury tonight. It seems that trying to find that sync is going to take some time for Princeton.
And it's the hardest thing to do, to get your offensive lineman in sync.
Stenstrom throws it to the tight end, Picanic. He's going to get out to the 29-yard line. That's going to be well short of the 1st down, and Princeton will have to punt.
It's a big series there. Princeton had just given up the touchdown on the interception. You know, they needed to get out there and move the chains, assert themselves. They did a little bit, but they needed to get Columbia's offense to stay on the sideline, because Columbia just seems, I don't know if you feel the same way I do, it just seems like Columbia's confidence is building with each one of these series.
Rain continues to pick up. This punt is heading towards the Columbia sideline. Takes a big hop forward. This is going to be a good kick. And it's going to flip the field for Princeton as it's down at the 15-yard line. 56-yard punt is very helpful to Princeton. Well, we talked about Yale. They were the pick to win the Ivy League in the preseason poll, so that shows you how impressive that was. And Cornell was down there at 7.
Yeah.
Well,
you look at what the votes were. Clearly the top.
Yes.
They had the Ivy League Offensive Player of the Year, Nolan Grooms, coming back at quarterback. They had running backs coming back, including the Rookie of the Year last year. But as you said before, Cornell had some players themselves. Look, it was bad weather, but it was bad weather for both teams. And yet Cornell was able to develop much more of an offense and the defense when they needed it.
And to get a kick to win, we've seen even in this game here today, it's a challenge when you're trying to execute a field goal,
Right.
and let alone with the game on the line.
And the most important
in
thing
bad
for
weather.
Cornell, I think, Yale came back and on a 4th and 20-something scored to take the lead with just under 2 minutes left. Cornell took the ball, drove the length of the field, a statement drive, kicked the field goal for the win.
Going to be maybe a gain of a yard and a 3rd down coming up for Columbia. Well, you talk about momentum and how Columbia is feeling. Columbia had to feel good about what they did in the 1st half on the ground. They didn't have anything to show for it on the scoreboard, but when you're picking up just shy of 5 yards of carry on the ground against Princeton, you're doing something.
Yeah, and they haven't had any success against Princeton. The last 4 years, I think they've lost by an average of maybe 20 a game. They have not done well against these Princeton teams. So getting out in that 1st half and establishing themselves has got to be good for them.
Bell throwing incomplete.
Some pressure by the Princeton front there, able to get in Bell's way, so he couldn't really step into that throw.
Pass intended for Marcus Libman. So Columbia over 100 yards on the ground tonight. Princeton in the first 2 games giving up on average 34 yards a game. That's what they gave up last year, 34 yards a game, which was good for second in FCS football.
Yeah, one of the things they've been consistent with last few years, and Coach Steve Urbett has been fabulous as a defensive coordinator. He's been here, this is his 38th year with the program, and he each and every year has been able to put together, even when he's got new players rotating through, this really effective defense. So far, not this year.
High snap controlled by Hughes, kicking into the breeze. It's a good one. Barber has to retreat about 10 yards to get it, looking to set up a return. Barber around 1, can't get around a second, takes it out to the 40-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Tigers, trailing on their home field. 3rd quarter in the Ivy League opener for Princeton and Columbia on a Friday night. When you think of Columbia football overall in their history, you don't necessarily think of winning first. But when you think of Columbia football under Al Bagnoli, it took a little while, but not a long time, for him to turn this into a winning program.
You can think of some great names. Sid Luckman, for instance. Lou Gehrig played football at Columbia. A lot of people don't realize that. But take a look at that record. Those wins, that is actually number 16 all-time, all divisions history of college football. Success, monstrous success wherever he went. 9 Ivy championships at Penn and really turned Columbia around.
Stenstrom to pass on 1st down, throws it to Volker out of the backfield. It's complete, good hit there by Rocco Milia. Well, you saw the great success that Al Bagnoli had, his numbers that he piled up, and when we talked to Mark Fabish about it, he says he has and feels an obligation to do right by the position following Al, because every day when they go into a staff meeting, they respect everything that Al Bagnoli did to get Columbia to this point, to get Columbia to where they are now, because people have to play hard against them now. That wasn't always the case,
Not always the case at all. And you just saw that last hit.
False start.
That was a good illustration of how hard this
5-yard
team
penalty.
plays now. You know, Mark Fabish, he's an Al Bagnoli disciple. He played for him. Mark Fabish is an all-Ivy at Penn. He coached with him for years. But he and Al wants him to be his own guy. Take a look at this. Volker leaks out into the left flat, and he gets banged. Shoulder, the way you're supposed to tackle. Volker's a big, tough guy, but he got a big, tough hit against him. Give you a sense of how hard Columbia plays.
After the penalty, they try to set up the screen, and Columbia's ready for it.
You know, they'll look at that in the film room and say, I know he had to come back for the ball. You don't want to head back into traffic. You want to somehow get back out to the outside, or at least plant that foot and head north and south rather than drifting back in, because you drift back in, you get hit by number 91. And you don't want to get hit by 91.
That number 91 is worn by John Martin, who heads to the sideline after making the hit, setting up a 3rd down and 10. 0 for their last 6 on 3rd down are the Tigers.
Start off with 5 wides, being Volker back into the backfield.
Stenstrom with the double pump, threads the needle and finds the tight end, Picanic, who tumbles forward for the 1st down.
That throw is not going to look in the books. It's not going to look like it's a lot of yards. It was a fantastic throw. First, he had to double clutch. He was ready to deliver. His guy was not open. Then he comes. Take a look at this. Then he delivers it. How tight was that window? Yet he's able to fit it in to his tight end.
For a 15-yard play on 3rd down. Approaching 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Princeton back into Columbia territory. Stenstrom in trouble, out of trouble. Complete.
Stenstrom gets faced with a free runner coming off of his left side, off the right edge of the Columbia defense. And again, given his size, Seth Parker comes off that edge, number 7. Take a look here. Comes free, an outside corner blitz, and Stenstrom is just big enough and strong enough to step out of that tackle, gets rid of the ball, turns what could have been a disastrous loss into a productive.
Tomato Falatea, Jack, is the 9th different pass catcher for Stenstrom here tonight. Colella caught the first pass of the night from Stenstrom. This one goes for a yard.
You know, go back to, let's say, last year when you had Andre Josevich and Dylan Classy. Josevich is with the Bengals. Classy was an outstanding wide receiver. Those two guys were catching just about all the balls. And now what Coach Bob Saray said is, we have talent. We got a lot more. We're going to spread the ball around, and let's see if somebody evolves as that #1 target for us. We got 4 guys split out left.
5 total receivers on 3rd down and short. Columbia's ready for it, though, and they hit him for a loss. 4th down coming up. Princeton, we'll see if they keep the offense on the field here.
I mentioned it a couple of times. I don't know when it's going to happen, but one of these teams has got to pump this, because the defenders are closing so hard. As soon as they see that stacked look on one side, quarterback turns right away to get rid of it. They are coming hard.
Princeton is going for it. It's 4th down and 4.
A little bit of confusion trying to get everybody set up. Clock running. They're down to 4 seconds. See if they can get it off.
They get it off with 2. Stenstrom flush from the pocket, rolling right, pumping, looking for the 1st down marker, and pushed forward for the 1st down.
That play was all Blake Stenstrom. First of all, you saw a stunt coming up front from Columbia that put pressure on him from the inside, forcing him from the outside. You can see right up here, coming inside, both sides. Stenstrom pulls out. Now, the defenders have to run with the receivers. They can't close on him, and Stenstrom makes a move, plants the foot, turns it upfield, shows us what kind of an athlete he is to convert that.
Princeton was 0 for 5 in the first 2 games on 4th down. Stenstrom picks up 7. This one's knocked down and almost picked off. Scott Rosati there for Columbia.
Princeton has always loved those quick slants over the middle, going back to the days of the receivers we just talked about before, Josevich and also Classy right there has the fake. Now, interestingly, the linebackers don't bite on the fake. What you want to have happen is the linebackers bite on the fake, take at least 1 or 2 steps in, and it gives you that passing lane over the middle. They didn't bite on that, and it took away the passing lane.
Quentin Autry had the tip. Princeton goes deep into the playbook. A.J. Barber goes deep into the backfield, has to run a lot to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Once again, Townsend showing up. He didn't make the tackle, but he made the play. He was the guy that forced him to come back. Once again, reading it perfectly, coming off that left edge, holding his position. What you need your edge guys to do is not get sucked up in the moment. So not saying, all right, I'm going to make a tackle from all the way across the field. Set the edge, hold it until the play is moved on. Townsend did it perfectly, was able to make him reverse his field and come back.
10th play of the drive, inside of 4 to play here in the 3rd. Once again, play clock's running down. It's 1, it's 0. And a timeout is called by Princeton just before the flag is thrown.
It just seems we've watched Blake Stenstrom looking to the sideline as if he's not getting the plays in time.
So they'll talk it over. We'll take a timeout. 3rd and 12 coming for the Tigers here in Princeton. Third and long coming for Princeton. They had to burn a timeout to try to get things straight on the field before the play clock expired.
We mentioned just a moment ago that if you watch, there's just been a hesitation there. You can see what Blake Stenstrom had sent him out. He split guys out. Now he has to bring them back in again. The clock is running. He's still looking to the sideline to get the call, and Princeton has to burn a timeout. And as you said, especially in the second half, you just hate to use those timeouts in that type of a situation, so you don't have them, especially in a close game where you very well may need them in the end.
They need the 23-yard line for the 1st down. They went for it on 4th down and 4 a moment ago. So trying to at least get some of this back here to set up another 4th down opportunity. Stenstrom with time, throwing right side. It is incomplete. Intended for Colella. Carter McFadden there on the coverage for the Lions.
An excellent throw, excellent pattern. Looked like he grabbed it, but looked like he was just out of bounds. Take a look here again. Stenstrom here, looking to the right all the time, gets it You know what? You probably, and I'm sure he's going to say this. Yeah, just that 1 foot is out of bounds. I'm sure he will look at this and say, I got to get rid of that ball just a split second sooner.
Stenstrom with the pooch punt. He is known to do this. He has done it already this season, and he'll drop this one inside the 10, roll it down to the 5-yard line.
Some good old school football. John Levitt, the former All-American here at Princeton, was a master at that little quick kick. But look how effective that was.
Stenstrom continuing that legacy. The pooch punt, 31 yards, but so effective because look where Columbia is going to set up at their own 5-yard line. NFL London games kick off Sunday morning. Set your alarm, Jack. Are you up before 9:30? I think you're usually up before 9:30.
I used to do early morning television.
Oh, that's right. I thought, though, you would just
I'm
forget
not up
about
that early.
turning on the alarm ever again.
I'm not up that early anymore.
You can see it on ESPN Plus. Falcons and the Jaguars from Wembley. To get ESPN Plus, go to espnplus.com or download the ESPN app. Well, here's an opportunity here for Princeton. I think we agree that Columbia has been the team that has brought a little bit more of the physicality in this game, but Princeton can pin things back here a little bit with Columbia back against their own goal line here, get a little aggressive perhaps.
Go back to our boxing analogy. Columbia's been the one that's been kind of bodying up, getting in there, throwing some punches. Princeton needs now from this position to take advantage of it.
There's a stop right at the line. Colin Taylor.
Two big stops now for Princeton. One getting their hand on the pass, a little swing pass first. That was Nicholas Sanker who got his hands on that. Again, one of those really effective linebackers. Up the middle, nowhere to go. Setting up a big 3rd down here. 3rd and 9 for Columbia.
Princeton sideline making some noise for this 3rd down and 9 play with 2:45 to go in the 3rd quarter. Bell throws it away.
Excellent coverage by the Princeton back end. They had everybody covered up. They had 4 guys in the pattern. Nowhere for Caden Bell to go. He's smart enough to say, looking for Colin Taylor. Not there. Colin Taylor puts the pressure on him. But he's smart enough to say at this point in time, look, we're in bad shape here. I'm just going to get rid of this ball. Let's get a punt off and let's play some defense.
Tough spot here for the veteran punter for Columbia, Will Hughes. Just a step.
Here's an interesting fashion statement. He's wearing Bermuda shorts. You know, it's become sort of the thing now. Used to be you had to have pads down, pants over your knees.
Just want to get rid of it quickly. It's going to roll. Barber stays away, and it will not reach the 50-yard line. Great field position for Princeton at the 49-yard line. Well, we mentioned earlier Dartmouth and Penn will play their Ivy League openers tomorrow in Philadelphia. Also on the schedule, Central Connecticut will be at Brown. Morgan State will be in New Haven to take on Yale. Colgate and Cornell, upstate New York rivalry, and Harvard taking on a very good Holy Cross team, 5th in the latest coaches poll.
That Holy Cross, I called the Holy Cross Yale game. That Holy Cross team may be the best Patriot League team I've ever seen. They are that good.
Good job by Volker. Bounces off a couple of would-be tacklers and takes it down to the 44-yard line, gain of 5.
Last thought on Holy Cross. Last year they got deep into the tournament, the FCS tournament. As you said, number 5 in the nation. I look at them and say they could indeed easily win the national championship this year. Tough run by John Volker. We talked about how hard he is. The first guy almost never brings him down. Turns that into a good game.
Stenstrom will keep it himself. Lean across to the 39-yard line, just inside the 39. That's enough for a first down. Russos there for Columbia.
Great time to call that play. 2nd and 5, you're figuring he's going to throw the ball some way. That they do that, a scheduled run, the quarterback draw. He sets it up, he sells it enough to give himself the opportunity to find a seam and get the first down. You know, the key on that, sometimes you see quarterbacks, they don't sell it enough that they're back. They take the snap and then go right up the middle. Experienced guy like Blaise Stenstrom sells the pass, and it opens up the run for him.
1st and 10. He'll roll and does a little hop pass, little improvisation to Picnic, who can't hold on to it. Incomplete.
Great coverage on the back end by the Columbia defense. He was looking for Picnic first, just sliding out into the flat, but you can see that he's covered from the beginning. Right now, they bring him from the right to the left, right there. No place for them to go. The receiver on the other side turns it inside, and it's impossible throw for Stenstrom to make. He's got to go back to where Stenstrom can get it to him, and he does a little Patrick Mahomes. Just kind of flip it over there and see what happens.
To give the Volker, flags come flying in. Likely holding against the Tigers here.
Holding, 79 offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Second holding call tonight on Hilliard.
You know, Eric, you and I have seen a lot of Princeton football. It just seems that they can't get in sync. You know, they do something and then they get kicked back a little bit. They've got somebody open, they just a little bit late on the throw. It's a team, and we know that we talked about this in the very beginning. They were reloading at a lot of positions. It just seems that they're still kind of struggling to find who they are and find their momentum here.
Bob Sorace talks about that the Ivy League is a junior-senior league, and he says we are not a junior-senior team. They have some upperclassmen, but they, compared to last year, 42 seniors a year ago, 18 this year, and they're having trouble getting on the same page, it would appear, here in the early going in 2023.
And that's a huge deal for a team, especially in this league. To have only 18 seniors when you had 40 the last 2 years, they were the senior leaders. They were the most talented guys. Take a look at that. 21, 40 seniors. The super seniors we talked on because of the extra COVID year, 22, 41 seniors. This year, it's 18. There are a lot of young guys that are sort of feeling their way into this system here. He's confident they'll get there eventually, but right now, today, they're just seemingly off.
Third down and 20, and a whistle stops play. Flag is down.
False start, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So I used to
Add
say
it
in
to
my old profession when I was a lawyer, I rest my case. It's just they're off, and they're anxious to get into their blocking schemes. These are smart kids. They go to Princeton. It's just the timing just is not right yet.
Third down and 25. Stenstrom doesn't go pooch kick again here, does he? Not this time. He'll do play action. Scrambling and throws incomplete.
Thing is, they do play action. The point is to try to suck up the linebackers, get them to at least take one step on the read. Linebackers had nothing to do with that play action. They got depth. They were about 15 or 20 yards back. Look at this. There is no place for him to go with that ball. Excellent coverage, number 7, Seth Barker. We've been calling Seth Barker's number a lot today.
The last 2 years, two-year starter for this Columbia team from Hoover, Alabama. The senior will take a seat after getting the stop. Clark with the punt. Heads out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. So with 22 seconds to go here in the third quarter, Columbia will come onto the field. Columbia with the only touchdown of the game. It's a defensive touchdown. Remember, last year Columbia lost to Princeton by a final score of 24-6. Columbia's score in that game came from the defense.
Defense again, yeah. They have just had a hard time figuring out these Princeton defenses. Now, you know what? A lot of people had a hard time figuring out these Princeton defense. We talked about them. Nationally ranked the top 10 in all sorts of categories over the last 5 or 6 years. Coach Steve Verbert has done such a fantastic job as a defensive coordinator here.
Bell under center on first down. He'll throw. Now he'll run. Now he'll head out of bounds at the 16-yard line.
Bell has a free runner coming after him off of that left edge, his right side. So it sent him scampering to the left immediately. Just threw everything off on that play.
Gain of 1 on the play. And we'll see if that's the final play. Remember, the clock continues to run on first downs and out of bounds until we get to the final 2 minutes of each half, and that will do it for the third quarter. A 2-yard interception return for a touchdown by Columbia defensive end Justin Townsend. The only scoring in the quarter, the only touchdown in the game. fourth quarter coming up here at Princeton. Columbia trying to end the 4-game losing streak to the Tigers. I think that picture tells a story about how they're feeling right now about the weather, about the score, about what's happening at the moment. But things can change because there's still 15 minutes to be played here at Powers Field.
And if you know anything about Ivy football games, things can change.
This game is far from over.
Immediately. Exactly. There's a lot of football to be played here and some good football players to play it. Caden Bell has not been able to generate a passing. He's got like 28 yards.
8 of 17 for 28 yards. That is the number for Caden Bell, who's ready to go here. First play of the fourth quarter.
Now they have been effective running the ball.
And they go to the ground on 2nd down and 9.
Joey Georgie, we talked about it before. First guy never brings him down. That looked like it was, if he was going to get a yard, maybe that would be the most you'd expect, if a big push from his lineman. But he just finds a crease and is able to bend out. You know, I talked about his prolific career. His senior year, he produced 2,500 yards of offense. So he's a guy that can deliver in a lot of different ways for you.
3rd down and 6. Bell has room to run. Can he get to the marker? Does not slide. And if he did go into the slide, he would have been short, but gave up the body, took a good shot, and got a first down.
That's what Caden Bell gives you. And I think it's one of the things that helped him win the job in his competition with Joe Green. We talked about Joe Green having been a Rookie of the Year quarterback a couple of years ago. Caden Bell can hurt you with his legs. He can extend plays. He can take a play that was busted like that one and all of a sudden deliver a first down for you.
Throwing it out to Georgie. Not much happening, but again, Georgie makes a little something out of not much and picks up 5.
He's as good as anybody we've seen in the Ivy League recently at taking a play that looks like there's nothing there. A guy had a beat on him from the time he took that pass. He took it behind the line of scrimmage, could have been stopped for no gain whatsoever, and he still turns it into a 5-yard gain.
Gets it again. Flag comes flying in, and this one likely is going to come back for a hold.
Holding, 77 offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Right tackle Noah Jordan called for the hold. Of course, up front, Jordan Mills, Chapman, Iannuzzi, and Luke Payton is the left tackle. He was a pass-catching tight end a year ago.
Payton we called as their tight end. He caught 35 balls or something in the last couple of years, but he bulked up to 310, and they moved him. They knew he was a good blocker. They moved him inside to tackle. So just a talented athlete.
Second and 15. Back to the air for Bell, looking long, throwing deep, and incomplete.
Seems odd seeing taking the snap under center, doesn't it? And if it's not a short yardage situation. Columbia has that in their offensive scheme of things. You'll see him jump up. Frustration, obviously, on Bryson Canty's part. He was open. Let's see what Caden Bell sees. Steps into it just over the head. He's got to throw that ball more to the center of the field. Let Canty run underneath it. Canty is a great talent. He was first team All-Ivy last year.
Caden Bell scrambling on 3rd down and long, and this time he'll have to head out of bounds before reaching the first down marker. And Columbia will punt.
Gain of 10. 4th and 5. 33.
Punt team comes on for Columbia. Mark Fabish getting used to that role of being the one who can be in the ear of the official on the sideline whenever he wants.
Although Al Bagnoli was a master of getting in the ear of the officials.
This one's deep. Barber is going to drift out of bounds. Good punt, 48 yards off the foot of Will Hughes. 7-3 Columbia, 4th quarter here in Princeton. Fabish, Ivy League lifer, you could say. Penn class of 1997, wide receiver, kick returner, all Ivy selection as well. So could play the game.
Yeah, he has, for a while, he had some returning records, as a matter of fact. First team All Ivy as a wide receiver, played on 2 Ivy championships teams, playing for Al Bagnoli. Then he coached with Al Bagnoli. We talked before about he's a bit of a disciple for Al, but interestingly, he said Al is letting him go his own way. He's not calling him up. He's not showing him up at his door. If Mark Fabish needs something, he'll help him, but he recognizes he's now the head coach at Columbia.
Stenstrom with the double pump again to the outside. That pass is complete, on target to Falatea.
These defensive backs are really jumping these patterns, these routes. They're just, Seth Parker, once again, great job. Just got there in time to make the stop. He was all over him. Good throw, good reception. But you just, I know, the weather conditions are not great, but you have to suspect at some point in time they're going to take advantage of these defensive backs trying to jump these patterns and send something deep.
Stenstrom's got it. Columbia's got him. Pasalakwa with a stop. Is that
Not
his?
sure.
Wait,
What
is that
is
his
that?
indication? Like, I studied for the exam I just got an A.
I don't think it was the LSU and Iowa, the I can't see you kind of face thing. I think you're right. We're talking about a couple of Ivy schools. This is, I did better on my SATs than you did.
I know your playbook. I think that's what that was.
I think you're absolutely right. I read your playbook because nobody put a body on him, and he was right there. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what that is.
You're a Jersey guy. He's a Jersey guy. That was a Jersey thing, I think, right there. Stenstrom outside's got a man open, and it's got a first down. Darion Murphy with the good grab, and the first down. They'll move the chains. Still a ton of time left here in the fourth quarter.
So once again, here after the stop, I don't know. I'm going to go with your suggestion, Eric. He's saying, I read your playbook. That one is not going to fly, at least not this time. First time Princeton's been able to get a player out in space where they're able to take advantage of it and come up with a first down.
Stenstrom ready to throw again. He's got time, but his receiver wasn't looking for the pass. Murphy was his target.
Murphy thinking at that point in time probably that Stenstrom had gotten rid of the ball. He was heading downfield, but and this is a young guy, and he's going to get a sense of this, that Princeton is very good at checking down, working through their progressions. He would have been the last one in that progression, but he has to be ready for the ball.
2nd and 10. The rain picks up again here at Powers Field. Jiggy Carr trying to break a tackle. Breaks one, breaks a second. Across the 50. First down, Princeton, 22 yards.
Jiggy Carr. How many times do you think in his career people have made a play on words with his name? Jigging his way out to the outside. Head fakes, leg fakes, running out of tackles. Look at this. Boom. Runs through the first hit. Eludes one guy, eludes a second guy. Maybe this is what Princeton needs. Somebody to give him a jolt of energy here.
That is the longest run for either team here tonight. They go back to the ground again. Not much happening this time, though. No gain on the play. Milia there on the stop for Columbia.
That's an interesting stat, Eric, that you just threw out, because coming into this, you would have thought, all right, John Volker has had 2 50-yard runs, right about 50-yard runs for touchdowns first 2 games. Joey Georgie averaging about 100 yards a game. You would have thought this was going to turn into a track meet here, but both defenses have just been solid. Certainly, I think if you look, Columbia's defense more solid against the run, certainly, than Princeton's.
Volker 120 yards a game, and this time it's going to be the quarterback Stenstrom who keeps it. Lions with the stop after a gain of about 3.
Once again, it's always easy for us up here to see the openings down on the field, but I think what you're going to see is as Stenstrom comes out, watch this. 4 guys putting pressure. There's a seam right there. Now head to the outside. I think the coaches will stay to the outside. You had a blocker there, stay to your left. Again, easy for us to see it up here. I suspect when they look at the game films, they'll say, just keep an eye on bouncing that outside rather than running back into the traffic.
Pasalacqua and Russo's teaming up on the stop. 3rd down and 7 here for the Tigers. Stenstrom flushed out of the pocket. Throws, has a man. Barber completes. Taken down at the 33-yard line. 1st down, Princeton, 11 yards.
That's what Blake Stenstrom gives you. He has the patience, he has the maturity, he has the arm strength, he has the mobility. So he takes a play, extends it. Watch this. Pressure's coming. Again, 4 guys coming up the middle, bounces it to the outside, looking, finds a guy, delivers it, gets his shoulders squared. You know, he's just a good bloodlines, if you would. His father, Steve Stenstrom, played for Stanford and in the NFL. He's just an impressive quarterback.
Volker in the backfield on 1st down and 10. He gets the carry, and he is stopped after a gain of about 2.
Volker carry.
A lot of tough running up the middle for both of these teams here. Clock running, that's 7:22. You know, we mentioned it before, the new rules now, clock does not stop for 1st downs. And they've started doing studies as to how it shrunk the game, how many fewer plays each side gets to call here. And I think we'll see at the end of the season, the numbers will be pretty significant in terms of limiting the plays, moving the clock on the game.
Have not seen Justin Townsend out there in a little bit here for Columbia. That one is caught for a very small gain of about 2. So another 3rd down play coming up. Here comes Townsend on with this package here on 3rd down.
I talked before about Justin Townsend and his hands making that interception and jokingly saying we put him in the wide receiver corps for Columbia with those hands.
3rd down from inside the 30 for Princeton, down 7-3 here in the 4th. Stenstrom throws, and it is almost intercepted. Incomplete pass on 3rd down. McDonald there for Columbia.
Looks like Princeton at 4th and 6 on the 30-yard line, the 29-yard line. Apparently no question at all about keeping the offense on the field.
They went for it on 4th down earlier and converted when Stenstrom ran for 7 yards.
I know I've said this before, but what a great time it would be to pump short, get the defenders sucked up, and then turn somebody down.
Stenstrom with time, throws, and it is caught. Great catch for the 1st down. Luke Colella reached back to make the grab, and on a tough night to catch the football, he made a tough catch.
If Princeton comes back to win this game, that could be the play of the game for him. You could see Stenstrom drifting to his left, has to fire it across his body, and as a result, it's wide out there. And just makes a fabulous diving catch to pull that ball in.
Did he pin it against his leg? There was a little bobble there, but it looked like he had control. So Princeton snaps it. Stenstrom with time, throws across the middle and incompletes.
He did the quick pump there, but the defenders for Columbia did not buy into it. So they laid back there, had good coverage deep.
2nd and 10 for Columbia.
Intended for JoJo Hawkins.
Yeah, that's a little high for JoJo Hawkins.
Another long drive for Princeton. This will be the 14th play of this drive for the Tigers. 5:31 to go in the 4th. Back to the ground. Columbia's there for Jiggy Carr. Russo's pulled him back.
It's interesting how similar these defenses are. They try to do it with 3 or 4 defensive linemen. You don't see them do a lot of blitzing. They've got talented linebackers who can run and drop into pass coverage, but as of now, the 4 defenders on the line for Columbia have been successful in just plugging up those holes and stopping those runs for Princeton.
Inside of 5 minutes to go in the 4th, clock running. Another 3rd down play here for Princeton. They go back to the ground. Carr spins and is short of the first down. It's going to be a 4th down and 2. There's that man again, Passalacqua on the stop. So once again, Princeton will go for it on 4th down.
And apparently no question at all. Coach Bob Serace didn't even look to the side as to whether he was going to make that call.
That tackle by Passalacqua, just grabbing him by the ankle as he was going by.
Still waiting to get the play call. It's in now. 14 seconds, 13.
16th play of the drive, an 8-minute drive. Can they keep it going on 4th down and 2?
Clock running again, 4-3-2, waiting for a second call from the sideline.
Barely getting it off. Stenstrom throws, and he's got a man. 1st down, Princeton. I mean, they got that play off with a millisecond on the play clock, apparently.
Well, they looked to the sideline with 6 seconds left to get the play call. It's got to happen sooner than that, but just big-time throw. Great positioning by Luke Colella. He feels the pressure from the outside, so he runs the slant inside, gets his body between the quarterback and the defender, and Stenstrom puts it on his line.
7th catch for Colella tonight. 1st and goal from the 10. Volker. He's got a couple.
John Volker carry.
I just keep expecting Volker to bust something. You know, he's too good. He has the speed. He's got the power. We've seen him do it already. It's as if they're one step away from him springing free. Split him out wide now, right? They got 4 guys split wide.
Stenstrom throws it right side. It's incomplete. Volker was trying to move, it would appear, before the ball was in his hands. Columbia was there with C.J. Brown getting a hand in there.
C.J. Brown reading that perfectly. We've talked all game about the Columbia guys are just not getting beat on this. You can see him jumping inside again just through the hands of John Volker. He usually has pretty sure hands there.
Volker's been held in check after 240 yards on the ground combined in the first 2 games. 3rd and goal. Stenstrom throws inside the 5 and stopped at the 1. 4th and goal coming up. Picnic couldn't get to the goal line. He's a yard short. Fourth down and goal for Princeton. Trailing by 4 here in the 4th.
Plenty of time for Stenstrom to deliver that ball. He finds his tight end. Let's see what they come up with now. 4th and goal.
Timeout. Called by Columbia. Will take it as well. 2:14 to go in the 4th. Princeton 4th down when we come back. A reminder, tomorrow's featured games on ABC and the ESPN app. 3rd-ranked Texas hosting 24th-ranked Kansas, 3:30 Eastern. Then it's Notre Dame taking on Duke. Blue Devils are 4-0. College game day will be at Duke starting 9 a.m. Eastern time on ESPN. 4th down for Princeton. Columbia leading 7-3 late in the 4th quarter.
I would ordinarily think they're going to give the ball to John Volker up the middle, but they haven't been successful with that. So maybe what they do, play action, fake it to him. They got 4 guys on the left side. I'd have them clear off left to right, drag somebody back underneath them just to create an opening to pass the ball.
2 tight ends. 4th down. They give it to Volker. Volker pushes forward, and he is in for the touchdown.
There you've got some big boy football. So in that huddle, you say to the Princeton lineman, all right, your time to shine. Your time to take this game over. We need 2 yards. We're counting on you guys to get it. John Volker, we see, as we said before, the first guy hitting him never gets him down. There's enough of a crease. Let's watch here. Runs right through a linebacker, drops his head down, runs through Rocco Amelia. Rocco Amelia, we've seen deliver some hits today, but he gets into that zone, into that seam there, and John Volker decides, putting his head down, and you are not going to stop me outside of this goal line.
a 20-play, 81-yard drive that took 10 minutes and 7 seconds. It is being reviewed to see if they'll confirm the score. If it holds, Princeton went 3 for 3 on 4th down on that drive.
Yep. And what you've seen is Blake Sandstrom gives them the ball, gives them a little pat on the back saying, okay, you go get that now.
Go win this game
Yep,
for
go
us.
win that game. Gives them a push. From this angle, it's impossible to tell.
What they're looking
gets
for
in.
perhaps is if he's down before that final lunge.
Yeah, I don't see a knee going down. Maybe this look might be good for us. Bang. I don't see any knees going down. I can't imagine there's enough there for them to reverse it. They pulled a touchdown on the field. I don't think there's enough. You know what's interesting? That was the first drive since the very first drive of the game where you got a sense that Princeton had Columbia's defense back on their heels. That they were switching up enough. They were able to get some hits over the middle, some passes to keep them from banging inside.
After further stands.
You saw Bob Surace indicate on the sideline they will go for 2 here to take the field goal out of play. Oh no, they'll bring on the place kicker. I thought Surace was indicating 2.
I thought so too. And
but it's gonna. You make the 1 here, and it's a tie game with the field goal.
Right.
So that's the play. Got to keep me honest on math here, Jack. I'm doing a game at an Ivy League institution.
We were both history majors, right? So we're both history majors and journalists, so math is not going to work for us.
So the point after is good. It is 10-7, and John Volker, as Jack said, in that moment, you would go to your tank, your workhorse. Princeton didn't overthink it. That's what they did. Back in a moment.
It's the NFL like you've never seen it before. Falcons and Jaguars will transform into the world of Toy Story in real time. Tune in for Toy Story Fun Day Football, Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on ESPN+.
Jack will be watching with the grandkids Sunday morning. We're watching the end of this one. 2:07 to go. Princeton 10, Columbia 7. John Volker caps a long drive. 81 yards and 20 plays to put Princeton in front.
That was a statement drive. It says, all right, we're going to show that we think we're bigger, stronger, and tougher than you are. We convert 3 different 4th downs on that drive, and they get to the goal line, and as you said before, all sorts of options we talked about. They said, let's do the simple thing. Let's give it to number 2. Let's give it to our guy, our battering ram, the guy that we count on, that we've been counting on for 2 games here, and let's let him put it in the end zone. Interesting that he's on the kick coverage team.
Jeffrey Sexton will boot it away. Returnable. McFadden has had some good returns. Not this time, though. Princeton's there to cover it and bring him down at the 21-yard line. Jackson Fisher leading the charge. On that charge down the field, Princeton needed to come up with some clutch plays more than once.
We've seen a couple of them where right now he turns that in, what should have been nothing, into a good gain. Stenstrom rolling right, throws across his body to complete a pass. This could be the play of the game if Princeton wins. Colella laying out on a wet ball to make that catch. Once again, you see the run up the middle. Colella, slant, and here John Volker gets a push from his quarterback, puts his head down, and finds the end zone for Princeton.
Caden Bell on first down, dropped by Canty.
Second and 10 from the 20.
Columbia's been waiting to get Canty into the mix here. He had 1 or 2 catches in the first 2 games. Again, he was a first-team All-Ivy last year, preseason first-team All-Ivy. They need to get him back into the mix. This is obviously not really the day to do it with this kind of weather.
Down goes Bell. Sack for Princeton. Bakari Edwards gets his 4th sack of the season, and it comes at a big time, setting up a 3rd down and long.
Bakari Edwards become one of the leading sackers in the country with this now his 4 averaging. Now he's got more than obviously what had him in the top 5 before this, but he's a guy that just has a motor that doesn't stop.
Mason Armstead on the pass breakup.
Mason Armstead pleased with himself on that one.
Take you back to second down, and Edwards with the move to get Bell for the sack.
Well, they get him by the heel on that play. Here's the third down, gets the ball out there, perfect coverage. Princeton defensive backs have been all over the wide receivers for Columbia.
Princeton's going to take a timeout. Columbia set to go for it on 4th down and 13. We'll take the timeout. 87 seconds to go here in the 4th. All right, Jack Ford, here's the game. Princeton on top by 3. Columbia facing 4th down and long from deep in their own territory, and the offense on the field.
They have to do this in the time that they have left, and the timeouts they've got to go for.
Bell throws it across the middle. He's got a man. Canty's got it for a 1st down. 16 yards. Columbia's not done yet.
Bryson Canty shows up when they needed him. We talked about them needing him in this game. Caden Bell steps up a little bit, is able to deliver the ball. He finds his top receiver and a seam over the middle. 1st down.
Columbia working quickly with the clock running. 2 timeouts remaining, 1:08 to go. Let's take you back to the 4th and 13 play.
You know what's impressive about that delivery is Caden Bell got hammered. Got hit low, so he couldn't step into that ball, yet he had enough arm strength to deliver it to find the seam for Bryson Canty.
Canty's 2nd reception of the game. 2nd down and 10 for Columbia, trailing by 3 here in the 4th. Bell across the middle, and another one that hits Canty, but he can't hold on.
You know what? It sounds a little odd, but it's probably just as well that he dropped it, because it looked as if, he's clearly frustrated, but it looked as if the defender had his sights on him, and if he makes a 5-yard completion and goes down, the clock is still running. Watch this. Bang. And Nicholas is going to get him down. Ozzie Nicholas is not going to miss that tackle, so probably just as well that he dropped it.
3rd down and 10 play. Pass is incomplete. Nasir Hill in coverage. Another 4th and long coming for Columbia. 4th and 10 this time.
So what you're seeing is now Princeton is just coming all out at it. They know that they can't run the ball. And if they do, it's not going to hurt Princeton at all. So they're just basically getting in the starting box and then coming after Caden Bell. And you see the pressure they've been able to get on him so far, because he can't run play action. He can't do any of the things that make them hesitate, not with 4th and 10 and a minute left. They send everybody from Princeton.
Bell throws it up, and it is caught by Canty. What a catch in Princeton territory on 4th down and 10, 21 yards.
Number 2 showing up when they need him. Princeton throws everybody at Caden Bell. They had 6 or 7 guys coming. Mason Armstead on the defense, covered him well. Perfect throw and a great catch by Canty.
They go to the ground here on 1st down. Not much there for Edwards. Remember, Columbia has 2 timeouts remaining. He does pick up about 5 on the play, maybe 4. Columbia up to the line quickly. Clock continues to run. 35 seconds to go. Bell in trouble. Columbia needs to use a timeout right now. They get it. Edwards and Johnson there to team up to take down Bell. 25 seconds to go. Now remember, a field goal ties it. What breeze there is helping a bit for Columbia on this end of the field.
A little bit behind. Question is, what's his range? What is Columbia comfortable with?
He kicked a 42-yarder already. That's his career long. Hugo Mary is a freshman. That was the catch by Canty on 4th down.
Probably the best throw Caden Bell has made all day long. Canty going up high to grab that. Good coverage by Armstead, but just a better throw and a better catch.
So if you think you want to get maybe a chance at a 50-yard field goal, which would be a career long for someone who's just in the 3rd game of his college career, you're talking about getting around the 33-yard line.
So
one timeout remaining.
25 seconds left, one timeout remaining. Got 3rd and 5. Now, clock will stop because we're inside 2 minutes. So if they get that first down, the clock will stop, but not for very long, just until they're ready to reset the ball for play. But it will be enough time for Columbia to get up, spike the ball, stop the clock, and still have enough time now to call a couple of plays and see where they end up and not have to burn their timeout.
Right now it would be a 57-yard field goal attempt from this spot. Remember, they missed from 22, a problem with the snap and hold exchange in the first half.
Not ideal conditions for pulling out a long field goal.
Caden Bell looking to throw. One thing you can't do is take a sack. He lost the football. It's covered by Princeton. Now, he was trying to throw it left-handed. There is a flag down on the play. They're going to call that a fumble and say it's Princeton football.
Holding, 65 offense. Penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
Now, because he even tried to throw it, the problem was that he threw it backwards like a lateral, so that is a live ball. It's covered by Princeton. They've got the turnover, and they're celebrating on the near sideline, as that will do it here with 16 seconds to go.
Princeton defense comes up big when they have to. Pursuit, Sekou Rowland behind him. Obviously, he's Ryan Savage in on that play. Clearly, Caden Bell is looking at that saying, the last thing I can do here is take a sack. Unfortunately, he's not able to get rid of the ball, trying to do something with it, lose it from his left hand. Fumble recovered by Princeton, and Princeton with a major comeback, a drive that they put together, which is, they're going to look back on this victory formation now for Blake Stenstrom. Princeton will look back at this. If they go on to have a successful season here, what they're predicted to do, they'll come back to this game and that last drive and say, that's what did it for us.
That will do it. Bob Surace knows his team survived here against Columbia. Mark Fabish's team battled. Caden Bell tried to fight. He tried to make something happen, but in the end, when he went to the left hand, it was a fumble. It was recovered by Princeton. That's the ball game, and the Tigers survive in their Ivy League opener 10-7.
And the Princeton defense, when you think about this last drive, they tried to sneak in one run, Columbia did, but they knew with the time and the fact that they only had one timeout left that a run was not going to beat them. So this Princeton defense was just going after Caden Bell on every play. You saw him get around the edge. Rowland got around the edge, was able to pursue him. Rowland's fast enough to track him down and put Caden Bell in a bad spot.
As you know, it's not always pretty when you're getting going in the Ivy League season, but it's always gritty. It is always exciting.
It's gritty, it's exciting, it's fun to watch, and it's a tough, tough football game by two really good teams that I think are going to have a lot to say about the Ivy Championship moving forward.
John Volker scores the winning touchdown for Princeton with 2:07 to go in the fourth quarter as the Tigers knock off Columbia by a final score of 10-7. Coming up next, college volleyball, Hawaii and Long Beach State. For Jack Ford and our entire crew, I'm Eric Freed. So long from Princeton.